Welcome to today's deep dive. Imagine having this highly specific, really rigid 8-minute daily routine. But it doesn't just promise to, make you a little more productive at work.
Right.
It literally promises you the ability to turn stone into gold or cure a terminal illness or even open a wormhole.
Yeah, it sounds like the pitch for a crazy science fiction novel, or maybe like the most extreme infomercial you've ever seen.
Totally.
But it's actually the core premise of a very methodical, deeply philosophical framework that we are exploring today.
Right, because today we're digging into this fascinating 2015 essay by an author named Feng. It's titled, Focus and Persistence Can Achieve Miracles.
It's a bold title.
It really is.
Yeah.
And just to be completely clear right up front, we're looking at claims that, well, they completely defy modern physics and biology.
Oh, absolutely.
Things like gender transformations just through thought, extreme rejuvenation, traveling through space-time, and obviously, claiming you can travel through a wormhole with just your mind, it's a massive leap.
Yeah, a bit of a stretch for most of us.
Exactly. But if we, put the literal scientific skepticism aside for just a moment and look at this text as a thought experiment on the absolute extremes of human focus, it is just entirely fascinating.
What's fascinating here is that the essay doesn't treat miracles as like divine magic or these sudden acts of grace.
Right, no lightning bolts from the sky.
Exactly. It strips all that mysticism away completely. It actually treats the universe as a very rigid system, and it treats human consciousness as this precise tool to manipulate that system.
Like a manual.
Yeah, it outlines this universal program to achieve the impossible, provided you follow the exact operating instructions.
Okay, let's unpack this because we really need to start with how this text actually defines that system. The author uses a very grounding, almost biological argument to build up to these wild claims.
He really does.
He basically points out that human biology already runs on these automatic programs.
Right. The text gives two very primal examples to, establish this baseline. First, it notes that a sexual encounter naturally leads to a biological climax once the right physical program is triggered.
Right.
And second, it points out that a mother's body automatically begins producing milk once a child is born. So the argument Feng is making here is really all about automaticity.
It just happens.
Exactly. The mother doesn't have to consciously, mix the chemicals in her blood to create milk. The biological program just takes over once that condition, which is childbirth, is met.
So Feng is taking that really basic, undeniable biological reality and just projecting it onto the entire cosmos.
He scales it way up.
Way up. In this framework, the changes in all phenomena in the universe are governed by, quote, programs. So if we think about the universe as this giant, infinitely complex computer operating system.
I love that analogy.
Yeah, it's like miracles then aren't glitches in the matrix. They aren't these random errors or, lucky events bestowed upon a chosen few. They are hidden apps.
Hidden apps, right.
They're native software built right into the universal OS. We just don't know the keyboard shortcut to open them.
That is a perfect way to conceptualize the author's underlying philosophy, because it completely removes the concept of a miracle from the realm of the divine or the arbitrary.
It's just neutral.
Entirely neutral. An operating system doesn't judge whether you're a good person or whether you deserve to open a specific program.
Right, Microsoft Word doesn't care if you're a saint.
Exactly. It just waits for the correct input. If you type the correct command into the terminal, the program runs. So if you trigger the right universal program, turning a stone to gold operates just as automatically as that biological reflex we talked about.
But okay, if the universe is just this neutral operating system, perfectly willing to give us, wormholes and solid gold.
Which would be nice.
Which would be great. But the obvious glaring problem here is that nobody's actually opening these apps. If the software is there and waiting, why am I not turning my water into wine right this second?
Well, the author is actually highly aware of that contradiction, and the answer he provides is pretty stark. It's a profound lack of appropriate effort on our part.
So it's our fault.
Essentially, yes. The text explicitly argues that the reason our desires fail to materialize is not because the universal programs don't exist, but because human efforts are overwhelmingly insufficient.
Insufficient how? Like, we just don't try hard enough.
Sort of. There's a specific quote the author uses to really illustrate the depth of effort required here. He says, 3 feet of ice do not form in a single day, and a drop of water wears through a stone not in one day.
Okay, so deep effort over a long period of time.
Right. But the text doesn't just stop at calling us lazy or impatient. It actually points a very specific finger at modern life.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, the essay explicitly blames the bombardment of television, computers, and the internet for destroying our ability to provide that deep effort.
Interesting.
It even cites ancient wisdom, saying, the 5 colors can confuse the eye, the 5 sounds can deafen the ear.
Okay, wait. I have to call a timeout on this, though, because blaming a lack of literal miracles on television and the internet feels
Yeah.
like a very, convenient modern scapegoat.
I get that, yeah.
It sounds a little bit like an angry grandfather yelling at a Wi-Fi router. I mean, people weren't exactly turning water into wine back in the 1400s before Wi-Fi existed either.
That's a fair point.
Distraction isn't a new invention. A medieval farmer was intensely distracted. He was distracted by a bad harvest or a plague or just like surviving the winter.
Right, it's a totally valid critique. But I think the text is diagnosing the specific nature and the velocity of modern distraction, not just the mere existence of it.
The velocity. Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, a bad harvest for a medieval farmer is a very profound, singular anxiety.
Hmm.
But the internet, on the other hand, is this scattershot fragmentation of our consciousness.
Oh, so it's the sheer number of things.
Exactly. The text mentions that rapid global changes, politics, climate change, social upheaval, they're all being fed to us constantly. Modern humans aren't just distracted, they are overstimulated to the point of literal paralysis.
So our attention is just everywhere all at once.
Right. Think of human attention historically as, like, a single spotlight that might occasionally get pointed at the wrong thing. Modern attention is more like a shattered mirror reflecting 1,000 different little lasers at once.
Okay, that distinction actually makes a lot of sense. To use the computer OS analogy again, it's like trying to download a massive, life-changing file.
Right.
You need a ton of bandwidth for that.
Yeah.
But our download keeps failing because we have like 100 different browser tabs open at once.
Oh, absolutely.
We're streaming videos, we're refreshing the news feed, checking emails. Our internal bandwidth is just completely maxed out.
Precisely. And this leads to what I think is one of the most evocative images in the entire essay. Because of this massive external chaos, combined with our own, messy daily desires, the text says we become, quote, like leaves blown chaotically by the wind, unable to take root.
The wind-blown leaf.
Wow.
Yeah, if you were a leaf caught in a hurricane of notifications and global news and work emails, you can't exactly focus your energy on turning a stone into gold.
Not at all.
You are literally just trying to survive the wind.
Huh?
So, okay, if modern life is a hurricane keeping all those tabs open and crashing our system, how does this author actually suggest we repair our focus?
Right, how do we type the command?
Yeah. How do we actually press enter on these programs?
According to Swefeng, it requires a very systematic escalating methodology, and it actually begins with what the text terms elementary self-improvement.
Elementary. That sounds easy enough. What is it?
Well, the proposed starting point is a simple daily practice. You spend 3 minutes each morning praying to the greatest creator to clearly express your wishes.
It's 3 minutes. The logic being that if you clearly state your intentions, the universe can align to help realize them.
Basically, yeah. But don't let the word elementary fool you. The text immediately follows that up by establishing an incredibly high barrier to entry.
I knew there was a catch.
Yeah, big catch. The text uses the classic example of turning water into wine. And it boldly states that turning water into wine is not actually difficult in and of itself.
Really? Not difficult.
Not, according to the text. The failure lies entirely within us. We fail because we cannot consistently focus our consciousness on a glass of water in a completely calm state.
Oh, wow. So if we only think about things occasionally or make sporadic efforts.
Exactly. If you fail to maintain absolute focus, the miracle simply will not materialize.
So it requires achieving a very, very specific state of mind. And I know this brings us to the ultimate prerequisite outlined in the source material.
Yes, the big one.
Because before you can even attempt the 8-minute daily routine we talked about at the start of the deep dive, you have to achieve something called the right fruit. Or it's also called the speed of eightfold liberation.
Right. This is the necessary operating environment you must create within yourself before you can execute the miracle program.
And the requirements to reach this eightfold state are just staggeringly difficult.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it requires essentially emptying yourself of everything.
Yeah, let's actually list these out and look at what they mean, because it is intense. So to achieve this state, the text says you must be entirely free of secular attachments.
Right.
You must be free of possessions, free of self, free of sadness, free of worries, free of emotional attachment, free of pessimism, and free of fear.
Just think about the psychological reality of what is being asked there. You are essentially required to uninstall every single background app that makes you human. Secular attachments and possessions. I mean, that means letting go of your career ambitions, your desire for a nice home, your financial security, everything.
But it goes even deeper than that. Free of sadness and fear. Those are fundamental evolutionary survival mechanisms.
They keep us alive.
Right. But the one that really stops me in my tracks is free of self. How do you even do that?
It's a huge paradox.
Yeah. Logically, if you successfully rid yourself of yourself, who is the person actually asking the universe for the miracle? If I don't have an ego or an identity anymore, why do I care if the water turns into wine?
And that is the central paradox of a lot of these esoteric frameworks, and it's heavily present right here. The text suggests that the self, the ego, is the ultimate noise generator.
The noise generator, okay.
To use a modern equivalent, think of a smartphone trying to record a really faint whisper from all the way across a room.
Okay.
If the phone's own internal fan is buzzing and it keeps vibrating with notifications from other apps, it will never, ever pick up the whisper.
Ah, I see.
Shedding the self is like putting your consciousness into absolute pure airplane mode. If even one background emotion like a lingering worry about paying rent or a slight fear of failure is pinging the server, the miracle program just crashes.
Wow.
Only when you reach this total emptiness does attaining miracles become, in the author's words, easier.
So what does this all mean for a normal person? It's kind of like trying to carry water in a bucket, but the bucket is full of holes.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Right. So the holes are your worries about work, your sadness about a relationship, your fear of the future, your attachment to your car. You can turn the tap on full blast. You can desire the miracle with all your heart, but the water just pours right out through the hole.
Yes, it never fills up.
You have to meticulously plug every single hole, meaning achieving that complete eightfold liberation before you can successfully carry the water.
Your bucket analogy captures the mechanics of this perfectly. The ego and the anxieties are the leaks that are draining your focus. And that actually brings us to the final, most specific prescription in the entire essay.
The 8-minute reality hack.
Exactly, because once you understand the absolute necessity of this empty, focused state, how do you actually practice it? How do you physically stop being that wind-blown leaf?
Right, because Swifling doesn't just leave us with abstract philosophy about empty buckets. The author outlines an ultimate daily practice as a direct guide.
Step by step.
Yeah. So first, you must determine exactly what you want. You pick one single, highly specific goal. Second, you must completely block out all external information.
So she shut down the television, disconnect the router, step away from the chaos. You have to physically isolate yourself from the wind.
And then, the specific prescription. Spend exactly 8 minutes a day in the same place at the same time, facing the same direction, adopting the same posture, performing the same action, or thinking about the same thing.
8 minutes.
8 minutes. And you keep doing this day after day until the miracle occurs.
And the author actually closes this instruction with a very grounding physical metaphor. He writes, like a saw cutting through wood or water dripping through stone, with dedicated effort, miracles will appear.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. I am fascinated by the extreme physical and mental rigidity of this instruction.
Oh, yeah. It's incredibly strict.
Same place, same time, same direction, same posture. It raises a really important question about the mechanics of this whole framework. Does the text imply that the repetitive physical ritual itself, like holding your arms a certain way or facing exactly due north, does that actually generate some sort of cosmic power? Or is the physical repetition just a necessary anchor to keep the human mind from wandering back to its worries?
Well, based on the broader philosophy of the essay, the physical posture isn't a magic spell.
Okay.
It is the ultimate tool for sensory deprivation and restriction. Think of a magnifying glass trying to focus sunlight to start a fire.
Oh.
If your hand is shaking even a millimeter, the focal point scatters and the leaf won't burn. By locking down the body in the exact same physical state every single day, you are eliminating variables.
You're holding the magnifying glass perfectly still.
Exactly. You are giving the brain 0 new sensory inputs to process. It completely strips away the chaotic, wind-blown leaf nature of modern life.
So the physical anchor forces the mental laser.
That's it, exactly. You are forcing the scattered energy of your consciousness to focus on a single infinitesimal point. And that singular, unbroken beam of consciousness perfectly still for 8 minutes, is what finally acts as the correct keystroke to activate the universe's program. It
Wow.
is the steady, perfectly aligned drip of water that eventually shatters the stone. If you change your posture or, do it at a different time of day, you are essentially moving the magnifying glass and starting the whole process all over again.
It is a remarkable, if highly demanding concept. Let's pull all these threads together and look at the whole picture.
Yeah.
We started this deep dive looking at a framework that makes these really wild claims about turning stones to gold or traveling through wormholes. And we discovered that in this author's philosophy, these aren't magical acts of God. They are viewed as neutral universal programs built into the cosmic operating system.
Right. And we identified modern information overload, along with our own fractured desires, as the ultimate viruses that are blocking our bandwidth.
And then we trace the systematic solution, which is the extreme necessity of achieving that empty, egoless state of eightfold liberation, basically unplugging from all fear, sadness, and attachment.
Followed by the strict 8-minute daily ritual required to focus that consciousness like a laser to finally activate that universal code.
So bringing this right back to you, listening to this right now, you don't have to believe in wormholes to take something away from this.
Definitely not.
Imagine for a moment attempting this level of focus in your own life. Imagine stripping away your phone, ignoring the endless news cycle, and somehow letting go of your daily anxieties.
It sounds so peaceful, honestly.
It does. If you had to sit in the exact same spot, facing the exact same direction, holding the exact same posture for 8 minutes every single day,
Hmm.
what is the one single goal you would focus on? What is the one file you would try to download from the universe?
It really forces a brutal clarity of purpose, doesn't it? Most of us actively avoid defining what we truly want because the noise of daily life gives us an easy excuse for not pursuing it.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
The noise is a very comfortable blanket. But I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to mull over, based entirely on the logic of the source material we just unpacked.
Okay, what is it?
Let's say the universe truly does operate as this impartial, neutral computer program, where absolute pure focus can trigger absolutely anything.
Right, the OS is perfectly neutral.
What happens if two different people on opposite sides of the world both achieve that perfect state of eightfold liberation? What if they both sit down for their 8 minutes a day and they focus their pure laser-like consciousness on creating completely opposite miracles?
Oh, wow. Two perfect inputs hitting the terminal at the exact same time, demanding contradictory outputs.
Yes, an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object within the universal operating system.
That's a wild thought.
Does the universe's code have a built-in conflict resolution program? Does it crash the system? Or does the most persistent focus simply win out?
I guess we'll never know unless the system crashes.
Right. It really makes you wonder about the invisible battles of willpower happening in the quiet corners of the world. Because remember, your biggest goals might feel completely out of reach in the noise of today. But maybe you just need to close a few browser tabs, plug the holes in your bucket, and finally find your keyboard shortcut.